This is Chef Sandra Mallett with Ingredient Addictions, and today we're going to be addicted to salt because that's what I'm addicted to. So by the end of this show, you'll be as well. I'm going to give you some tips on what to use salt for. It's not just for seasoning your food, it's for flavoring your food and helping enhance it. So join me and let's become addicted to salt together. Ingredient Addiction is grateful to our sponsors. Amaretti Ingredients, the ultimate pastry, savory, and beverage ingredient manufacturing company. FOH, front of the house, my plating partner that makes my dishes look beautiful. And ChefWorks, their coats always make me look great and comfortable. Today we're talking about salt, and I have brought one of my favorite salts with me, which is the pink Himalayan salt, and I'm just going to show it to you really quickly. It's very versatile and can be used in many applications. And one of the things that I do love about salt is there's a really great history about it. And the word salary actually came from salt because people were paid in salt in the old times, like thousands of years ago. So I find that so many fascinating things about it, as well as salt was a preservative, kind of like a poor man's refrigeration in the old days, and you were able to keep your meats longer, and it cured your meats, and it even added different textures and flavors. I don't know about you, but I do love salt. So we're gonna make sliders with our salt today, and I have a whole setup here ready to go. I've got a beef blend, 80-20, a little bit of fat and beef. You don't want not enough fat in your meat because you really want it to cook off and have some juiciness. So we just got our raw meat here, and again, you really want to make sure that you keep your hands clean and you're not touching a lot of stuff because raw meat can be dangerous and cause some foodborne illnesses. So we're just going to mix in some, I've got some red pepper flakes, I've got a little bit of garlic powder, and I've got some Italian seasoning. I like to use Italian seasoning because it's got a blend of everything in it. And I have also got my pink salt. So I'm going to do a little bit of salt now. You don't want to put too much salt in your raw meat because it will leach some of that moisture out of there. I tend to put just a touch in there, and then I finish the burgers off with salt as I'm cooking them, which will really help hold in the flavor. Lastly, you're going to add a little bit of this egg, and we're going to get dirty. We're going to use our hands. So we're mixing in the egg, and what the egg does is it helps keep the burger staying together on the grill. I'm sure some of you have made burgers and they fall apart. That's because you need a little bit of egg, maybe even some breadcrumbs if you have it. That'll work as well. So we've got our meat mixed up. One of the last things I do at the last moment is I'm adding some blue cheese because I love blue cheese. So that's what we're doing. And we'll add some in there. And a lot of people like to stuff their burger. I actually like it to be throughout. So we've got it mixed, and you're just gonna make a patty. It's a little messy, but you're just gonna roll it in your hands, get it to the size you like. You wanna make sure that it's not too big for your burger bun or too small. So I'm gonna show you, I've made some patties so that we can get an example of how to make them. Now these don't look like your normal patties. A lot of people don't realize that when you're making it, you definitely want to put a thumbprint in the middle. It helps keep the inside from puffing up too much, and it allows more even cooking. So you just want to do a little thumbprint in there, and it'll help all the cooking go evenly. Very easy. And this is all we need to do to make our sliders to get ready to put them on the oven, in the grill. So we're going to go over here. Okay. So I've got my two patties. I've preheated my pan so that I get a nice sizzle. Can you hear that? You want to make sure you've got a good heat going, but not too hot, because these things will burn pretty quickly. And I don't actually put anything but just a touch of olive oil in them, just a little bit, just to keep the pan a little bit moist. But it's going to take you about 5-10 minutes to get these all cooked on both sides. Okay, and while you're cooking these, it's a good time to get some of your other items prepped up, like if you're going to have some fresh greens on your burger, or you're doing bacon. We've already cooked up our bacon, but this is a good time to throw another pan on and cook up some bacon. And as they're cooking, we're gonna grab some salt. I have to go over here. Grab a little salt, and now I'm gonna put a little bit more salt just on them while they're cooking. And again, you don't wanna overdo it with the salt, because what was the tip I gave? You can always add, but you cannot take away. And salt is a really strong flavoring component. So again, you don't want to overdo it. You want it to enhance your flavoring, not take over. And again, once it's done, it's done. You almost have to start over. And my grandmother gets very angry when you have to start over and you have to wait. So you don't want to keep any of your guests or family waiting. This should cook up pretty quickly. We're gonna flip this, get like a little bit of a nice sizzle going for the second side, and you've got a nice brown. You want to get your burgers browned, and you want to make sure they're cooked all the way through. So you want to have a thermometer and check that temperature. There's a lot of really great probe thermometers out there. You want to make sure that your beef is at least 165 so that it's cooked through. Now that we have these cooked, it took about 7-8 minutes. I tend to like medium well. Your guests will tell you what they prefer. Very easy to get different temperatures and settings for your guests when you're working with a pan. You have a lot of control on it. So now, let's go make a burger. Let's make sure I don't burn my hand. So now I'm gonna make the burgers, and to assemble them, I like to get everything mise en place down. Y'all remember what that means. Everything in its place, getting all organized. As you can see, we are. So on my larger dish, I like to have all of my ingredients available. So I've got my buns, and you can always toast your buns off with a little butter as well. I tend to like them just soft and ready to go. Then I have my raw onions, and I've got a really great slice of blue cheese, my pre-cooked bacon that I've already taken care of earlier, and then I'm gonna use some arugula, which is nice. It's a small leaf, easy to manage for a slider, and it's got a nice little spicy bite to it, so it's gonna be a really good taste. Then I've made what I call pesto mayo, and it's a really simple process. It's just some mayonnaise, and you can get pre-bought pesto, or you can even make your own. And it's just about 1 part pesto to 3 parts mayonnaise. Tastes great on a million different things, especially these burgers. And then from our brown sugar show, I brought back my brown sugar bacon jam, which is also amazing on sliders or anything else. So let's get to assembling. Very simple. You're gonna take your your bottom bun. You're just gonna put a little bit of the pesto mayo on it. We're gonna grab one of our burgers that we've cooked off. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the arugula. I'm gonna take a nice bacon slice. I'm gonna get a good chunk of the blue cheese and a little bit of the onion. I'm just gonna stick that right on there. A little bit more of the onion. And I'm gonna put this aside right here. Get a little bit of my dressing on this. And we're gonna top off the burger like that. I'm gonna put it over here on the side for us to get ready, because I'm gonna have some buddies over here to taste with us. So we're gonna do the bacon jam. We've got the bottom burger here. A little bit of the bacon jam. Again, put our burger on. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit more of the bacon jam on top of the burger. You can't ever have too much of that stuff. And I know, folks, I'm making a mess, but we'll get through it. A little bit more bacon. And lastly, another piece of bread. And so those are 2 different kinds of buns that you can, 2 different kinds of sandwiches you can make. And I also made some French fries that are always a great side. And what I did with them is I added some of my pink Himalayan salt, and then I added some fresh rosemary. I'm still kind of sticking to the rosemary addiction from the previous show. So let's get those fries. I'm gonna take them out of the oven. It's really simple. Just cut up some crinkle cut fries, which are great because they really hold the salt and any of the seasonings that you put in there. We have to be careful because these guys are hot. And they look great, and you can just decorate your plate really nicely with some good fries. And there you have it. You have a couple of different slider options with the bacon jam, the pesto mayo. And what's really nice about the mayo, you have an opportunity to put mustard in there with it, or garlic. And that's where you can also use some of your different flavoring salts. You can add it into your mayo just to give it a nice hint of a different tone, a different flavor. So you can have the black Hawaiian salts, or the sea salts, or making your own herb salts, whatever you want. Now that we've assembled our burgers, you can't eat burgers alone, so I've invited a couple friends over to taste it with me. It's my friends Scott and Elaine Harris. They are international travelers and food writers out here in Las Vegas, and really close friends of mine. Do you guys cook with salt too?
Oh, we certainly
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely.
Because it just brings out the flavor even more. So I'm excited about trying your burger.
Yep, and you get to have some of that bacon jam again too.
Oh,
I
my
can smell
goodness.
it already,
I love that
and
bacon
I am
jam.
drooling
Thank
to
you.
have that bacon jam.
So
can't
I
wait.
also made some French fries too, and we used a little rosemary from the garden
Sure.
as well.
Want
So
to try the
please,
French fries first, or just everything in
just
one shot?
give it a try. Give the burger a try. So
right.
Scott's got the bacon jam
Yes,
burger,
of course I do.
and Elaine's got the burger with the pesto mayo and a little bit of the raw
pesto
onion.
mayo.
So I'll just hold this here so we don't make them up.
Mmm.
So can you
Delicious.
you can tell the difference, like what some of the salt does, just giving it the enhancing, and it's really light, and especially with the bacon jam, it just really gives that extra bit of smoky flavor. It's unbelievable.
That is spectacular.
Thank
I
you.
love the pesto and that mayo.
Thank
Oh
you.
my goodness.
Because we did talk about that, how pesto is, how mayonnaise is a really good vessel to put a lot of different flavoring in. So you can just load it up with herbs and salts and oils and all kinds of different things.
French fries are good too.
Thank you. So we're full now. So you guys are going to start cooking with salt?
Absolutely.
More salt at least?
More salt.
More salt.
Great. Now we are going to go on to the next exciting recipe I'm making for you. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the information about the salt slider. Now we're going to go on to a pretty simple grilled cheese, but I really do like to do a little finishing with salt, and a lot of people don't do that. So I'm making kind of like a salted grilled cheese. So as I talked about, we're using some really great Texas toast. Your bread is really important, and the thickness is really nice. Really makes a really hearty sandwich. I'm going to use some of the pesto mayo that I already made. We're going to put a little bit on there. And then what I like to do too is I like to use shredded cheese because it actually will melt a little faster for you, especially if you're in a hurry. I just fill it on there. And then we can do a little bit of bacon. And again, we're just making a simple, I'm going to also do a little bit of Gruyere cheese. This is simply a cheddar and jack cheese mix. And then we took a piece of Gruyere cheese and we shredded it ourselves, which is amazing. So I'm going to put this down here, and I'm going to do a little bit more pesto mayo on the inside of this. And then to get it ready to toast, what I do too is I have my softened butter. And yes, it is a lot of butter, but butter is your friend when it comes to grilled cheese. At least it's my friend. So we spread a lot of butter on the outside, and I really do it on just one side, so I don't necessarily need to overdo it because the pan's gonna have a little bit of butter in it anyways, and that'll get the second side done. So I'm just putting a little bit of bacon jam again on this. Well, maybe it's not that little, it's a lot. I'm gonna do a little bit more of my shredded cheese here, and I'm gonna do a little bit more of my Gruyere. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take even a little bit of the blue cheese. So we're going to add just a touch of blue. That's going to melt into the middle of all of it. So now I've got a really amazing sandwich going, and we're going to do again what we did before. We're going to just do a little bit of butter on the outside. And what's nice about grilled cheese is they're so simple, and you can make them with so many different cheeses. You can have stuff that's left over in your fridge, and you can just make a 4-cheese grilled cheese, or just call it the kitchen sink grilled cheese. And again, remember, you're going to want to pick out your favorite salt to use, because the salt we're going to sprinkle on the outside just as we're about ready to take the sandwich off the griddle. So let's cook these, and let's get addicted to this grilled cheese and salt. That's what I'm saying. So what I've done is, again, I've buttered the outside of the bread. And I'm gonna put, wait, let's see, we're gonna put that on first. So I'm gonna put this one down. You hear a nice sizzle going. So you wanna get that going. And what's nice about cooking these in, like this is in a pan, you've got a lot of control on them. You also could bake your grilled cheese if you had to make quite a few of them. That would probably work just as easy, like if you had a bunch of kids you were cooking for. So I'm just using the pan with a little bit of butter, and I'm moving it too much, but you shouldn't move it too much because you do want to get a little bit of brown going, and you want to get that sizzle along with melting the cheese. Okay, so now I am going to flip it because I do want to get the other side. I'm adding just a little bit more butter in here because we do want enough of that really great butter flavor. So I am going to flip this over. You want to get the butter spread out throughout the pan. And if you can see that, we've got a nice little crisp going on here. Nice light brown, lots of sizzling, and the shredded cheddar cheese and jack cheese really helps. It's really melting a lot faster. It could take a lot longer if you use slices, especially if they're thicker slices. So we're gonna peek inside and see what's going on. Ooh, melty goodness. The bacon jam has melted into the cheese, and the butter and the blue cheese is just enough melted so you're gonna get a nice little surprise bite. That's why I put just a little, so that you don't expect it. Okay, we're gonna flip this one more time, and you've got a really nice toast on the outside. And what I like to do, because we're going to let the second side continue to cook, is this is where I add my salt. I just do a little bit of finishing salt, and it does make one side a little saltier, but what's nice is you get that extra hit of the salt in there, and that's why I do it. I don't put this back on the burner. I let it just sit right in there, and it's just melty goodness. Okay, now that we're done, let's plate this sandwich because I am ready to eat. So I've just taken it out of the pan, really simple. I finished it with my salt, and what I mean by finishing is when you're just about to have your sandwich finished, is you're just gonna put a little bit of that salt like I did to finish it off. So let's take a bite of this. That is some good stuff. Again, eating with my mouth open. Grandma's gonna be upset, but I don't care. This is really good. This is Chef Sandra Mallett with Ingredient Addictions. And if you're not addicted to salt by now, you should be after watching this. Thank you.